Brent Spiner is an American actor, comedian, musician, and singer. Born to a Jewish family in Houston, Texas, he became active in drama from a young age and went on to become a stage actor, appearing in a number of Broadway and off-Broadway plays. Arguably, however, it is his most recognizable role as Lieutenant Commander Data on Star Trek: The Next Generation that we know and love him best. Spanning 7 seasons and 4 feature films, Brent appeared alongside the legendary cast of Sir Patrick Stewart, Jonathan Frakes, Marina Sirtis, LeVar Burton, Gates McFadden, Michael Dorn, and Will Wheaton. He has also appeared in some incredible TV shows and movies, including Independence Day 1 and 2, Friends, The Simpsons, Law and Order, South Park the movie, Outcast, Penny Dreadful, City of Angels, The Big Bang Theory, and The Goldbergs, alongside last week's brilliant JLGB Virtual guest, Jeff Garlin. Despite claiming that he was now too old to play the role of Data, Brent donned the android paint once more to reprise the role in 2020's Star Trek Picard, which, if you haven't seen yet, is available to stream right now on Amazon Prime UK. We still can't believe that such a cultural icon is joining us this evening, and we simply can't wait to talk to him. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome all the way from California, tonight's very special guest, Brent Spiner. Welcome, Brent. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Jamie, right?
Yeah.
May I call you Samuel?
Not yet, yeah.
Okay, then I'll call you Jamie. Hi, Jamie. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
Good. I'm fine, thank you, arguably. I noticed you said arguably my most well-known role was that of Data in Star Trek. Was somebody arguing about that?
I think to all of us at JLGB Virtual, that is the most well-known, that's what we know you for, but we've got lots of questions on everything that you've done.
All right, well, you said arguably, so I figured you'd argued with somebody about it, and that's what you came up with.
Well, I'm sure our CEO, Neil, has probably had an argument with a couple of people about what we think you are most known for. So we are really pleased to have you here on our JLGB Virtual program. We celebrate 25 years. We've been boosting positivity and keeping children and their families active and healthy and entertained for 20 solid weeks now. And it began here since lockdown in the UK with the help of a special guest every evening. Other than Neil pestering you on and on, what made you say yes to joining us this evening?
I mean, really just that Neil pestered me until I said yes, finally. Not because I have any problem doing it. It's just that my least favorite thing in the world is talking about myself. And so I was reluctant to do it initially when he asked me. Most people, I think, enjoy talking about themselves. I get very bored with it, but because I already know all about myself. Anyway, you say this has been going on for 125 years?
Yeah, the Jewish Lads and Girls Brigade, the amazing organization, have been running for 125 years this year.
Wow. Do you think 125 years ago they weren't doing a Zoom like this, were they?
For some reason, I don't think they were, no.
Yeah, well, so they met in a room or something at that point, right?
Yeah, I probably didn't have to socially distance back then either.
Right, yeah, you're probably right. I'm sure they didn't, unless it was, 1918, and then they had to do something completely different. So Jamie, what else? What do you got going? What would you like to know?
So we're all about acts of kindness here at JLGB. We always ask our guests what they've been doing to help others. And of course, you joining us tonight, as you said, you don't like to speak about yourself. You joining us, massive act of kindness. But during this difficult time, has there been something a bit more personal that you've been doing to help others? I hear that your mum turns 94 last week and you call her every day. Happy birthday to your mum as well.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I call her every day because, she's 94 and we're in a position where I'm in California, she's in Texas, and I may never see her again. Who knows? So I feel like I have to make really close contact with her. But aside from that, my biggest act of kindness, I think, is to avoid slapping someone who's not wearing a mask in public. I see them, I want to hit them, and I don't. And that is my act of kindness.
I think that we all appreciate that. I wouldn't like to get slapped. I do wear my mask.
Good man, good man. As well you should. For right now, it's the sensible thing to do, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. So
I think so.
yeah, let's go back to the very beginning. We've got a couple of questions about your childhood.
Yeah.
What were the youth opportunities? What youth opportunities did you have? And how many Jews were there living in Texas?
Well, I never actually counted, but there were quite a few in Texas. My grandfather came from Russia. Both my grandparents did, but my grandmother and my grandfather on my mother's side came from different parts of what was considered Russia at the time. I'm not sure it is now. I think some of it, my grandfather was from Vilnius, which is, I think, Lithuania right now, or I'm not sure, of Belarus or something. I'm not sure, but it was in that area. And my grandmother came from Odessa, and my other grandparents came from Romania, but they all basically traveled the same route to America, which was by boat to Galveston, Texas, which was a port at the time. It's still a port, but it was a port, and they had family that was already there, distant family, probably distant cousins or something like that, and they sponsored them, which is what happened in those days. So you had to have somebody to sponsor you before you could come into the country. So they came into Galveston, Texas, and from there they made their way to Houston, and eventually had kids and a business, and then I was born. What else would you like to know about that? Anything?
So obviously all of us involved here at JLGB tonight are volunteers, and we work for, or we don't work for, but we volunteer at JLGB, which is a youth organization. Did you have any youth organizations or youth clubs that you went to?
Yeah, there was, well, I went to Hebrew school. It wasn't exactly a youth organization, but I guess it was in a way. And, I went to Hebrew school until and then I was bar mitzvahed. And I could actually do my bar mitzvah speech for you right now, if you like. I haven't done it. I haven't done it in a few years now, but I can still remember. I can still remember it. Would you like to hear it?
We've got time for a couple, like maybe a minute rendition.
Well, I'm sorry. I'm either going to do the whole thing, which is it's an hour and a half. It gets very deep into Jonathan and Saul, and no, I'm kidding. I can just do the opening for you, because what I said was, and I think the kids who are watching this right now will relate to this. February 2nd, 1949 was an occasion which I can hardly remember. But 13 years later, tonight, as I stand on this pulpit, remembrance of this occasion will be an everlasting light in my life. And I don't remember anything after that. So, so much for it being an everlasting light. But I went to Hebrew school for many years, and then I continued on in Hebrew school, and I joined, do you have AZA over there? American Zionist Association? There's social clubs. There was BBG, which was the girls, and AZA was the boys, and there were chapters, and we had dances, and that it was basically a social organization. So I was in that for a while.
So we have AZA here, but I think it's called BBYO over here.
BBYO.
Yeah, it's just another Jewish youth organization. So you've actually already answered my next question, which was, did you have a bar mitzvah? And that amazing rendition of how you started. We don't necessarily know how it finished, but
yeah.
Did you go?
Would you like to hear it again?
I think it's
okay. I won't do that. I won't do it.
Did you go on any summer camps, and did your Jewish identity shape you into the person that you are today?
I to a degree, I suppose. I mean, I'm not sure what shapes us into anything. I mean, I'm not sure I'm shaped, frankly. I've never thought about that. I'm sure, my grandparents and my parents and all of my aunts and uncles and relatives had some effect on me, as they do on most people. And they were all really fine people, and I'm sure they they guided me in ways that have been beneficial to my life and to making me who I am right now. And they just happen to be Jewish. So I suppose that that played into it as well.
Definitely. So your career, you are an actor. Did you always want to be an actor? Was there ever another plan? I hear your uncle wanted you to be a doctor, but you were more into clowning around in school, pretending to be Jerry Lewis.
Yeah, that's true. No, I only wanted to be an actor. I did try to appease him for a while. My uncle, he was a terrific man. He actually taught us every other Sunday for like 3 years when I was in middle school, junior high school. He taught us pre-med on Sundays. And we would go to his house. There were about 10 of us, and we learned pre-med. So by the time I got into high school, biology classes, I never bought a book. I never opened a book. I knew it all. And it was quite a wonderful thing. But he wanted all of us to be doctors. And so he persuaded us to get jobs. I had a job at the Houston Medical Center, which is one of the great medical centers of the world. And I worked as an orderly in the recovery room of a gentleman by the name of Dr. Michael DeBakey, who was the eminent heart surgeon. He created the heart transplant. And that was kind of miserable for me because I really didn't want to be there. I wasn't really interested in being a doctor. So I was much more interested in playing a doctor on television than I was in being a doctor.
Did the knowledge that you have then when you played, if you played a doctor, did that knowledge?
Did that? I'm sorry, I missed the last couple of words. It muted out all of a sudden.
So obviously you learned a lot about being a doctor and all the information biology. So when you've played a doctor in your acting career, did that help?
Did it help? No, not at all. Because the doctors I've played have all been kind of eccentric and extreme. And most of the doctors I met were very sober and very, serious. And I played these kind of crazy doctors. So it didn't really help me at all.
You had an incredibly talented and inspirational teacher for drama, Pickett, who helped start the careers of a huge group of actors and directors. Yeah. What was it that made him so successful, and what was the top piece of advice for acting or just life in general that you received that you now pass on to others?
Well, I'm not sure that piece of information came from him, but I will say his name was Cecil Pickett, and he was a phenomenal teacher and a wonderful man. My class in high school, my drama class, there were a lot of people in that class in Houston, Texas, who've gone on to do a lot of work. And both of the Quaid brothers, Randy and Dennis Quaid, were in my class. There was a guy named Tommy Schlamme, who is now the president of the Screen Actors Guild. And he, along with Aaron Sorkin, created the West Wing series. And there was a young woman named Marianne Williamson that was in my class. She ran for president of the United States for the Democratic nomination. She didn't get it, but it was an illustrious class. And he had a very good nose for talent, Mr. Pickett did. And if he thought you had it, he would nurture it and try to bring it out. But I think what he gave all of us, at least in my case, what he gave me most of all was a sense that I had something to offer, which I think is a very important thing. I think that people can have talent, but unless someone says to them, you have talent, you can make people really happy or have experiences by watching you. You should pursue that. Unless you have somebody who does that, some people never find their way there. Now, let me say, the piece of advice I would give, and this did not come from my teacher as much as from my experience. And I think every actor I know, successful actor I know, would say this, that if there's anything else you want to do, if you're thinking about being an actor and you think, okay, well, I'd like to be an actor, but if that doesn't work out, I'll be an accountant. Be an accountant. Don't even try to be an actor. If there's anything else you want to do that other thing, because there's so much rejection and disappointment in competition that you're going to face, that you have to be really strong to be able to survive until, if you're lucky, you get a decent break. So I would suggest to anybody, if there's anything else in the world you want to do that. Don't be an actor. Now, if you can't think of anything else you'd rather do, if you think you can't be happy doing anything else, then you, of course, must do what you think will make you happy.
Thank you. I think for lots of our viewers, we're coming up to the ages where we have to make these decisions, whether it's for our GCSE exams, for A-levels, for university, some kids even younger than that. And it's amazing advice, like just to think, do I want to do this? Do I really want to do it? How much do I want it? And how much will I work for it?
Exactly. Yeah.
So we couldn't have you on here without asking you a couple of Star Trek questions. So to help me ensure that we ask all of the best possible questions, I would like to introduce my co-host for this evening. You can call him Samuel. It's our resident sci-fi expert, Samuel. Hi, Samuel. How are you?
Hi, Jamie. I'm good. How are you?
Samuel.
Very good. Over to you.
All right. Thank you, Jamie. And thank you, Brent, for coming today. It's an honor to interview you this evening.
Oh, thank you. Don't be honored.
A few questions from me before we go to the audience.
Yeah.
So how did you get the role of Data? How did it come about? And what is the character based on? And did it spark from a passion from watching the original Star Trek?
Wait a minute, was that a question?
Yeah.
That was many questions all wrapped into one. I think you started with how did I get the part?
Yeah, how did you get the part?
Well, I had an agent, like most actors do, because you can't get any work without an agent. I had an agent, and he said to me, they're doing a new Star Trek series, and why don't you read it and see if there's anything in it that interests you. So I read the script, and I thought, oh, well, this android character could be kind of interesting. So I said, yeah, I'll go up for that. And I met with a woman by the name of Junie Lowry, who was the casting director. She's a wonderful, wonderful casting director. And she said, I think that the producers need to see you. And I said, okay. And so I read again for the producers, and I auditioned, I think, probably 6 times. And then they gave me the part.
And did you watch the original Star Trek as a child?
There was an original Star Trek?
The one with William Shatner, Leonard Nimoy.
William Shatner. Oh yeah, William Shatner. Sure, I remember him. Yeah, of course. You know what? I watched it. I didn't watch it in its first run. I think I watched it when it was on in the afternoon when I was in college. My friend Stevie Murray and I would come home from school, and we would watch the odd Star Trek episode, and we really enjoyed it. Yeah.
And what was the basis for Data? What was the premise behind the android character that we know and love today?
Well, I think I don't know that there was a. What did you say? What was the what? What was the
premise behind
the premise? I don't know. I really don't, because I didn't write it. I just played the part. You know, I mean, I got a script, and I kind of tried to imagine this character. You know, I was lucky in the sense that there weren't a lot of other android characters on television, and so I could pretty much do anything I wanted, and people couldn't say, well, an android wouldn't do that, because how would they know? So I was free to kind of do whatever I wanted. And that being said, we had really good scripts, and the writers knew sort of what direction they wanted to go. And they kind of took things from us and we took things from them. And we got to a point where I don't think I ever reshot a scene on the show in 7 years because they didn't like the way I played it, or anyone else for that matter. So we didn't tell them how to write the show, and they didn't tell us how to act it, and it all kind of melded and was very lucky and came together in a really good way.
Yeah, thank you. And I'm pretty sure that it was a part that was quite different from any other part you had played prior, that the character had no emotion to begin with.
Right.
And then when he first had the encounter with Natasha Yar, and he had his first emotional encounter, and eventually the emotion chip was found. How did your acting develop in the creature, and did you develop any skills as an actor after this character development?
You know what? I'm not sure. I think I came with the skills, and then they mined those skills. You know, they saw what I could do, and they started writing towards that. And so they thought, well, basically they gave me a lot of challenges along the way, a lot of opportunity and a lot of challenges, and that's sort of what you want as an actor. And the more I was able to do, the more they gave me. And so I'm eternally grateful for those opportunities.
And thank you. I'm sure it's quite hard to remember filming every single episode of the show, all 178 of them. But did you have a favorite scene or a favorite episode that you filmed? For example, going back to the 1890s, or playing Sherlock Holmes, or when you were playing 3 different characters in the same episode, playing Data's brother Law, and also your Data's creator, Dr. Nunyan Sung, simultaneously.
All of those, all of the above and more. You know, for us, we were working such long hours, and so, we worked 14, 15, 16 hours a day, 5 days a week for 10 months of the year for 7 years before we even started to make the movies. And so for me, it was like, you would do those long hours, and they would say, okay, that's a wrap, end of the day, but then you have to go home and learn your lines for the next day. So really, we were working ridiculous hours, so we were all very, very tired. But as a result, it kind of seemed like one long episode. It wasn't, oh, I like that episode, I don't like that episode. It was all one. I was Data, and he was going through this 7-year experience. And that's sort of the way it was for me. I mean, I always enjoyed when we were in what they call the holodeck. It was a room on the ship, as you know, Samuel, that could be programmed to be anything you want it to be. And that was always fun because we did, as you said, Sherlock Holmes, and we did a Western episode, and we did Robin Hood, and we did Three Musketeers, and so it was limitless, the things we got to do.
Yes, thank you. And the cast of The Next Generation, all these years later, seem to still have an amazing bond.
Yes.
Rumor has it that you were even the best man for both Sir Patrick Stewart and LeVar. And on that point of friendship, was it always planned at the beginning that Data and Geordi would become best friends? Or did this just develop over time based on your own friendship that you formed in person as actors?
No, it was there from the minute we auditioned. Actually, the audition scene, the first thing the thing I auditioned with, the scene I auditioned with, and the scene that LeVar auditioned with was a scene between Geordi and Data. And it was a really nice scene. It was never in the show, but it was what they had written for the audition. And in that scene, they were comrades and friends, and that just continued. And and of course, and it happened to bleed into our own lives. You know, I mean, LeVar and I are very good friends, and as I am with everyone on the show. I mean, I would be hard pressed to say who I'm closest to because I'm close to all of them.
Thank you. We've got some burning questions from our audience, so let's get on to them now. So first, we have a question from Sam Steinberg.
Oh, Sam, how you doing?
Hi, good, thanks.
Good. Are you on your Zoom right now? I
am. So many actors in Star Trek are actually Jewish. So Armin Shimmerman, Walter Koenig, Leonard Nimoy, William Shatner, yourself, of course, and the original Star creator, Gene Roddenberry. Although there are many nationalities of characters from Earth, Scottish, Russian, Japanese, Canadian, and even the Vulcan state, which I think is based on the Jewish priestly ritual. But I don't believe there's been a Jewish character. Do you think there are Jews in the 24th century?
Wow, that's interesting. I don't know. I'm not even sure there's religion in the 24th century. So, you know, we'll have to wait and see. There is, I think in the 24th century, at least what Star Trek is looking towards is sort of acceptance of all beings. So I'm not sure. I can't answer that because, of course, I didn't write Star Trek. But let me just say one thing. I've never heard that Gene Roddenberry was Jewish. Are you sure about that?
A friend told that to me. I can't confirm it, I'm afraid.
Okay, if he was telling you, if it wasn't true, I hope you'll not be friends with him anymore.
Absolutely.
Okay, good. Anyway, Sam, it's a good question. I don't know if there'll be Jews in the 24th century, but like I say, I think there'll be. I just hope there'll be people in the 24th century. To be honest with you.
Yeah, I like the idea of everyone coming together, going into the future.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Sam. Very nice question. Now on to one of our younger members, Alex Livingston.
Alex Livingston, where are you? Come on, Alex. All right, let me ask.
Thanks, I'm unmuted.
There you are, no worries.
So my family and I love watching Star Trek, and one of my favorite episodes is Cause and Effect. So, and in that episode, Data, sends himself a message back to the past to tell him what to do in the future. If you could send yourself a message back to the beginning of 2020, what would you tell yourself?
If I could send a message back to myself to the beginning of 2020, what would I send? I would probably say, be sure that by January 10th, you have your tickets to New Zealand and you're there. Go to New Zealand as fast as you can. That's what I would have told myself.
Okay.
Hey, Alex, let me ask you a question. Where are you right now?
I am in my living room with my parents laughing very noisily next to me.
They're laughing?
Yeah.
Well, in London. The laugh will be on them in just a moment. Where are you? I mean, what town? Are you in London?
London.
Yeah. That's a large town in England, right?
City, I believe, but yes.
Oh, it's a city. Okay. Well, next time I'm there, maybe your folks would want to take me to dinner or something.
Deal. My mother says deal.
Okay, perfect.
And his father's speechless.
Well, there went Alex. Oh, okay. Thanks, Alex. Great to meet you, buddy.
Brilliant question, Alex. Thank you. And our next question is from Eris.
Eris. How are you?
Oh, okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes, of course.
Fantastic. I'm good, thanks.
Good.
So you must hate always being asked questions about data all the time. So can you tell us some of the most ridiculous things you've been asked, or worst or most inappropriate times you've been stopped by the public? And does the good of the role ultimately outweigh the nuisance?
Well, I'll answer the last part first, if that's okay. Yes, of course, the good outweighs the nuisance, but it's sort of like a double-edged sword. It's the best job I've ever had, and it's afforded me so many wonderful opportunities. And the other side of the sword is sometimes it's a little tedious when I'm in public and somebody says, "Hey, Data," because that's not my name, obviously. That's a fictional character. But for the most part, certainly the positive far, far outweighs the negative. I think probably this is the most irritating experience I've ever had as a result of playing Data. I'm kidding, Harris. I'm kidding. No, let me think. Basically, people are very, very nice. And when I go out in public or whatever, if somebody happens to recognize me, because it doesn't happen all that much, they're generally very, very pleasant. It really is just that thing of if they call me Data as opposed to Brent, it's not my favorite thing, because what it does is it sort of dismisses the whole rest of my life. And when I think of myself, I think of myself as me. I don't think of myself as a fictional character. That was a role I played, and a really wonderful role to play.
Make sure to call you Brent then. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, darling.
All right, thank you, Eris, for that question. And now we have a question from a more familiar face to you, one of our leaders, Ricky.
Ricky?
A more familiar face, because we hang out all the time. That's why, isn't it?
Ricky, where did we hang out?
Well, by hang out, I mean I follow you around. We don't need to talk about it. We don't need to talk about it.
I don't know.
I really like.
Ricky,
Sorry?
Have we met before?
No.
Ah. Well, then, of course you're a familiar face.
Of course, of course.
So what can I do for you, Ricky?
Well, I'd really like to ask you, because in my opinion, Data became an inspiration around the world for those suffering from autism. Did you have any idea at the time the impact the character would have, and does it make you feel? How does it make you feel to know that an entire generation of people who struggle to fit in mirrored the trials Data went through to learn the practice of their own social skills and to develop their own emotions?
Well, I'll tell you what, I had no idea while we were doing the series that it was, the character was speaking to so many young people, particularly at that time, who were struggling with emotion and expression. And I'll tell you, when I really first became aware of it is I was in my trailer at Paramount waiting to do another scene, and there was a knock on the door, and I opened the door, and there was a gentleman standing there, white beard, and he said, "Hi, my name is Dr. Oliver Sacks. Could I come in?" And I said, "Sure." And he came in and he said, "You're kind of the poster boy for my work." And I didn't know what he was talking about. And he explained it. And then I read his book, one of his books, and I thought, this is overwhelming. I mean, it's so moving to me. And I've subsequently learned from being at conventions, at Comic-Cons, I've met so many people who watched the show when they were young and told me about that experience that they had had. I'm glad that I didn't know about it too much at the time, because I think I would have pushed the writers to address it more head on, and it could have ruined the entire thing. So, but I'm honored, really, to have been able to be there and help people and not even know about it. So it was a lucky accident in the creation of the fire.
Thank you so much, Brent. Really good to hear your insight on that. And thank you
I-
very much for coming on.
All right, Ricky, thank you.
Thank you, Ricky. I can just vouch for that because I too have autism and Asperger's. So having like such a relatable character in such a mainstream media, and it's in such a digestible way so other people can understand what people like me go through in order to try and get through daily life from a social perspective, and how we have to digest and develop our social skills in a way.
I totally respect that and understand it. And again, I feel honored to have been there and to have been helpful in some way, even though I didn't know it was happening at the time.
So I'd just like to say thank you on behalf of us autistic people and everyone on the spectrum through JLGB and everyone watching today. So on a lighter note, we have our final audience question for the moment from Luke.
Luke.
Hi, how are you doing?
Hello, Luke.
Okay, so that kind of leads nicely into my question. So I just wanted to ask whether you like sci-fi in general, so like things like Star Wars and Marvel and Doctor Who. So I know that you've been in Outcast and Penny Dreadful, and I also heard that you almost played the Master in Doctor Who.
Well, that's not true, but I would love to. I would love to play a Master. I'd love to play Doctor Who, you know? I mean, don't you think? I'd be the first American Doctor Who.
Yeah. I think some Brits might have something to say about that, but
I have met several of the Doctor Who actors, though. David Tennant and Matt. Tell me his last name.
Matt Smith.
Yeah. Anyway, great folks, and I've known other people who've been on the show, John Barrowman and so on, and it's a great bunch. But your question was, am I a sci-fi fan?
Yeah.
Right. I would have to answer that by saying, sort of, not really. I mean, it's not my favorite thing. I've seen all of the Star Wars movies because, Mark Hamill's a friend of mine, but my son, I have a son, he's 18 now, and so growing up with him, he's a big sci-fi fan, and so. We saw the sci-fi, all the Star Wars movies and all of the Marvel movies because he really liked that. And it gave me the opportunity to catch a nap in a really nice, cool environment. But no, my preference, I'm much more interested in the past than I am in the future. I can't get that interested in something that hasn't happened yet. I'm interested in things like climate control and global warming and things of that nature that are surely going to happen in the future if we don't do something quickly. But I'm a documentary guy. I like watching documentaries about things that have already happened. That's my preference.
Yeah, no, that's totally fair. Thank you so much for answering.
All right, my friend. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Luke. And now for a couple more from me. So, are you pleased that you returned to play Data in the recent show on Amazon Prime, Star Trek Picard, alongside Sir Patrick?
Yeah. Yes. I'm pleased to have done it. I couldn't have enjoyed it more. It was. I had said many times I was never going to do it again. And I really had no intention of doing it again because clearly I'm too old to play the part. And I think, frankly, if you saw the movie Nemesis, which was, I think Nemesis happened about, how many years has it been?
2002?
2002, okay. So that's 18 years ago. I think I was too old to play Data then. I mean, I've seen the film one time, and I thought, I cannot do this again, because I was already looking too old, I think, for that part. And so when they asked me to do this, I thought, I really shouldn't be doing this. And I said, how am I going to do this? They said, well, we'll do CGI on you and all of that. And it's only going to be in a couple of scenes. You're not going to have to do it for long. And I thought, well, if we can do it, make it look okay, and we can do it quickly in 2 quick sequences, why not? It gave me the opportunity to work with my pal, Mr. Stewart, Sir Patrick, and I felt that the fans would have been really unhappy if I had said no. If they'd known that I was offered the opportunity and I said no, I think it would have been very disappointing for them. And I thought, well, if we can pull it off one more time, okay. But saying that, I do think I have done it for the last time. At least played that character for the last time.
Yep. I loved it. It was really good.
I'm so glad.
And do you think the series offered the character some needed closure after his initial death in Nemesis? Yeah.
Well, I don't think so. I mean, necessarily. To me, Nemesis was pretty finite. He blew up, but apparently it was a little too jarring for a lot of fans of the show. They felt it was just too extreme and too jarring, and they didn't like it at all. And so when they came up with this wonderful writer, Michael Chabon, Pulitzer Prize winning writer, and Akiva Goldsman, who is a fantastic screenwriter, Academy Award winning screenwriter, and Alex Kurtzman, who created the whole series, I felt like I would be in really good hands doing it again, and their idea of how to sort of gently let go of Data as opposed to the way we did it in Nemesis. Nemesis, by the way, was also written by a brilliant writer named John Logan, who is one of the best writers in the world. So I feel really lucky that the end of this character that I played for so many years was put in the hands of this spectrum of fantastic writers. And once again, I lucked out.
Thank you very much, Brent. It's been a real honor to be part of the interview today, and I appreciate everything you've done as Data and as Dr. Roken in Independence Day and in Star Wars Rebels when you played that role. But that's enough from me, so we're going to hand back to Jamie now. So thank you very much.
Thanks, Dan.
Stay safe, I hope.
You too, please stay safe, and thank you so much. Well, Jamie, are you back?
Back. Thank you so much, Sam.
Yeah.
And just letting you know, Brent, that we have had over 900 people, currently 900 people plus, are watching live on Facebook. So we've got a few questions now that are outside of Star Trek. So what role that you've had out of all the films, the movies, Broadway, off Broadway, everything you've done, what's your favorite role for screen?
You know what, you're going in and out, your audio's going in and out, but I think I got the gist of it. Do I prefer stage or screen, and what's my favorite role that I've played? That's hard. I've had some really nice roles to play. I've been very lucky. I generally like whatever role I'm playing at the moment the best. And but I had a great experience on Broadway doing a show called 1776. That was I played John Adams in 1776. It was about, of course, you may remember this, about America breaking away from this tyranny of this country, this terrible country on the other side of the pond. And anyway, that was a terrific role to play. And I really enjoyed, I did a movie called Out to Sea with Jack Lemmon and Walter Matthau. And I had a great time doing that. And I really, of course, enjoyed playing Data. And the Independence Day roles. And, you know, like I say, I've been really lucky. I've played some really fun characters.
Amazing. So we always ask our guests that are involved with musical theatre, what is your favourite musical?
I think my favorite musical, that's hard for me. Just anything by Sondheim. And I was lucky enough to be in Sunday in the Park with George, in the original production of Sunday in the Park with George on Broadway, and get to know him a bit. And I feel so fortunate to have worked with that genius. I think he's the greatest genius of the musical theater of our time. But if I had to go back, other than Stephen Sondheim, I really like Showboat, Jerome Kern. It's every single song became a standard, just fantastic. But I'm a big fan of musicals, and more than that, I'm a fan of Tin Pan Alley, of the writers who also wrote for Broadway, like Irving Berlin and Kern and Cole Porter, and the greatest musician, composers and lyricists of their time.
Thank you. I mean, I love Broadway, I love West End, I love all the musicals. So I've got a few more now that I can go and watch.
Yeah.
We've got a few more questions now quickly from our audience, just a couple more. So our first is from Izzy.
Izzy, you there?
Hi. Hi.
I hear you, but I don't see you.
Hi.
There you are. Oh, hi, Izzy.
Hello. So my question is, do you get nervous before performing, and do you have any tips on how to relax and lose those nerves before a big performance?
Yes, I get nervous. I don't know how to overcome it. You take a deep breath and you just go. And something happens to you, particularly on stage. If you walk out on stage, there's just something about once you get there and you say your first line and you hear a response from the audience, and there you are. And it's easy sailing from there, and you're fine. It's like being home again. It feels so comfortable. But always feel nervous before I go on. And I think it's useful. I think you've heard this before, I'm sure, that having nerves is useful. It just gives you an energy and an excitement. But I will say that if you get too nervous, it's going to mess everything up. And the only way that you're not going to be nervous is if you really know what you're doing. You have to be thinking. You have to be, if you're a character, you have to have objectives and know what the character's thinking. And as long as you know what every line, what he's thinking, or she is thinking when the character speaks, and what the subtext of the line is, what's underneath, what they mean by saying that line. If you're thinking about that, you're not going to get that nervous.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Izzy, for your question. So our next question is from Charlotte.
Charlotte?
Hi.
Charlotte, I've seen you. You've been there the whole time.
I have, yeah.
Yeah.
Coronavirus has affected the entertainment industry substantially, closing West End and Broadway shows, confusing movie release timelines, and halting a lot of TV production. From the news we see here in the UK, it looks like America's been hit hard with over 150,000 deaths. How do you see the future of your industry changing because of this pandemic? And you've been quite outspoken on Twitter. How do you think America is handling the crisis?
Well, the industry is a prisoner to it right now. All of the arts, really, for the most part, are a prisoner. The performing arts are to this virus and to the economy. That's a big question. What was the last part of your question? Because I think I could speak to that easier.
How do you think America is handling the crisis?
How do I think America is handling the crisis? Well, and this is just my opinion, by the way, because I really don't like to tell people what to think. But I don't think America's handling it very well, to be honest with you. Obviously, there's 20 million cases so far in the world, and America has 5 million of them. So we're a quarter of the cases in the world or in America. I don't know how you could, in your wildest imagination, think that we're doing well. But somebody, and no names, keeps saying we're doing really well. But I don't think we are. And I think there's a reason for that. I think there are a lot of reasons for it. And I think, ironically, one of the problems is that we are a country that is so indoctrinated in our DNA is individualism. And we're not a community. We're every man for himself. And that's a problem. Because I think what's required right now, and I think what's worked for the countries that are dealing with this in a very, productive way, is that everybody recognizes the problem, recognizes what helps solve the problem, and they all dig in. And I just, in America right now, that's just not happening. People are going their own way, and people believe what they believe, and there's a great divide going on about everything in our country right now. So yeah, in answer to your question, I don't think we're handling it very well.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Charlotte. So I've got a really quick follow-up question. There are rumors going around that Dwayne Johnson might be running for president. Have you an opinion on that?
Dwayne Johnson, president. Yeah, I mean, you know what? Why not? Really? When we're kids, we're told that when you grow up, anybody can be president. And in fact, what we found out is anybody is president. So why not Dwayne? Why not? I was thinking Mike Tyson maybe for president.
I mean, who knows? Honestly,
anybody. Look who's running the country. Look who's running the world right now. I mean, almost without exception, the best leadership in the world right now is women. Whatever country has a woman leading the country at the moment is doing pretty well.
Definitely. I think we've got loads of people. We've just hit 1,000 people on Facebook. So I'm sure loads of them are supporting you. And on Facebook, we've had loads of comments of support, loads of hellos. So we've got one final question from the audience for you. And that is from...
Who is this? Hey, Adam, right?
Yeah, hi. Yeah. Hi. Brent, first of all, huge thanks for coming on. A big fan. It's absolutely fantastic to have you. You've inspired thousands to study the STEM subjects, that's science, technology, engineering, and maths. Do you yourself take an interest in future tech? Are you into gadgets and AI and stuff? Oh, and on the subject of AI, do you ever think we'll actually see a real life data as well?
I can only hope there'll be a real life data, and I also hope, if there's a real life data, of course, that he's just like me, or she is just like me. Either way,
I imagine he would be.
But I'm only mildly interested in tech. I'm old, and so I go to my son when I have a tech question because he's so much more savvy than I am. And I enjoy it. I definitely enjoy all of the toys that AI and IT and make available. But I'm not really skilled at it.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Pleasure.
Thank you. So I've got just a few more questions for you. You've been absolutely fantastic. I know we're running a little bit late, so I'll try and speed through these. What you? We've got loads of questions on Facebook asking, what are you going to be in next? What do we all have to look for?
Well, I don't know. I mean, we're not working right now. You've got. I am going to be in the next season of Star Trek Picard. Of course, not playing Data, but I don't. I assume I'm going to be playing Dr. Sung, Dr. Alton Sung, but I can't be sure because I haven't seen any of the scripts. We were supposed to be shooting starting June 24th, something like that, and obviously we're not shooting anything right now, and we won't be until it's safe, hopefully very soon. But I don't know. But that's the next thing I'll be doing. I did do I did a voice thing for a cartoon I had done years ago. I played the Joker on Young Justice cartoon series, and I did it again right before the everything hit the fan and this pandemic, and I did it one more time. I don't even remember if it was for Young Justice or a different show, but it was definitely a Cartoon Network show, and the same guys were doing it, so it probably was Young Justice, but it was a very different take on the Joker than I did before, and yeah, and so that was fun. To my knowledge, nobody has seen that yet. I don't know.
Well, I think all of our viewers on Facebook and everyone else on the call watching are very, very excited to see you in your next big adventure, in your next thing. Hopefully it's the Star Trek thing. So these are unprecedented times. The physical, the mental health and economic impacts may yet affect us all for some time to come. Do you have hope for the future? What positives do you think will come out of this strange situation that we're all living in? Do you see blue skies smiling ahead for us?
I don't know. I don't tend to be the most positive person about the future, but I'm hopeful. You know, I really am. I think I think most people are basically decent. I think that hopefully we'll learn a lesson from this. I'm not sure what the lesson is, but I know one of the lessons of this is be prepared, because we know that the ice cap is melting, for example. And so I think we need to be prepared for the future, for any possibility. And if there's anything we've learned from this, that is that, because we were all so unprepared for this. And but I'm hopeful. Let me just say that I'm hopeful that the future will hold good things for all of you, all of the young people who are watching this, for my son. I want a wonderful world for you guys. I really do. And I think some people who are living right now just don't really care whether you have a wonderful world or not. They're only care about the one they live in. And I think we owe you a responsibility to see to it that you have a good life and a fruitful existence.
Definitely. There are so many changes. We just don't know what is going to come of this. But prepared, being optimistic, cautious, I think going to prove to be so vital, as well as being kind. The acts of kindness we do here, as well, slapping people, I think is a very good one to start with. But yeah, so you have been absolutely fantastic this evening. We have one final question that we always ask our guest to nominate, ask another celebrity to be a future guest on our virtual program and help entertain everyone that you have tonight, all the young people and children stuck at home. So if you have enjoyed tonight's experience, we really have done, who would you like to nominate? Any chance you can convince LeVar Burton, Mark Hamill, maybe even Patrick Stewart?
Oh, do I have to get them to do it?
You don't have to get them, but is there anyone you'd like to?
I think you should send Neil after them, just the way he went after me. Why do I have to be the bad guy?
On the case, get Neil on the case. Who do you think we should get?
I would go with Meryl Streep.
I mean, that would be insane, I think.
Call Meryl. Tell Neil to call Meryl, but when he calls her, tell him, please don't make her prove that she's really Meryl Streep. If she answers, it's her.
Definitely. I think we'll definitely, Neil's watching, so we'll make sure that he knows that. So thank you so much, Brent, for joining us this evening, for inspiring all of us. We've loved hearing about your incredible career and experiences, and we're so grateful for you for imparting some amazing knowledge and performing advice for all of us. We know that right now, thousands of fans are watching across the UK Jewish community on Facebook or Twitter. We can't thank you enough for giving up your time this evening. If somebody told me 20 weeks ago I'd be sitting at home in my bedroom interviewing Data from Star Trek, I would have thought they were absolutely crazy. But it just goes to show how times have changed since JLGB Virtual continues to make history, and how you and so many other celebrities are reaching out and doing some truly amazing things and acts of kindness during this time to boost our positivity. So thank you once again. Good luck with everything that comes next. We hope we get to see you on our screen and stages very soon. Please wish a belated happy birthday to your mum as well. Stay safe, take care, and we really hope to see you again very soon.
Thank you, Jamie. All the best to you.
That is it. Thank you to everyone for tuning in this evening for another night of our summer entertainment extravaganza, and yet again being a part of history. A massive thank you to everyone for tuning in to our JLGB Virtual Summer Entertainment Extravaganza Social Action Week, supported by the Genesis Philanthropy Group. We will see you all tomorrow as we continue our Social Action Week in collaboration with SEDEC and welcome the right-hand man to Lord Sugar, businessman Claude Littner. You do not want to miss that. So keep following us on social media at JLGBHQ so that you don't miss a thing. Until then, keep well, stay safe, and good night.